Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to the City of Los Alamitos, State of the City. My name is Brett Plumley. I am the city manager with the City of Los Alamitos. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Lily Hightower from Los Alamitos High School, who will be singing the national anthem. And we would also like to welcome up the Color Guard from the Installation Support Command of the California State Military Reserve, and they are based right here on the Joint Forces Training Base.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Okay, you may be seated. And let's give a round of applause to Lily for the national anthem, the Color Guard, and also the string quartet from the high school that was here. With that, at this time I want to introduce the Los Alamitos Police Department chaplain, Jeremy King, to do the invocation.
Good morning. Is it still morning? It's morning. Just another, easy week in Los Alamitos, nothing going on. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln gave his first inaugural address. And in that address, he was speaking to a really divided community, a country. And in it, he said, towards the end, he said that one day, a wave of union, a chorus of union, would once again go from hearthstone to hearthstone, heart to heart, in these United States. And he said that when the better angels of our natures speak to us once again, and he was right. And we are now once again in a country that is divided by politics. But at the same time, I believe that he is still right, that the better nature of our angels will speak to us, and that the reason we stand for that flag will still be true 100 years from now. And so with that, let us turn our hearts to prayer. Thanks, Lord, for he is good and his mercy endures forever. God, I thank you for the gift of community. We thank you for the gift of good governance. God, we pray that you would bless our city leaders, that you give them wisdom and discernment, that you give them good counsel and right decision making. And Lord, as they share their vision with us today, let us as a city rally behind them. Let us speak truth in love. And Lord, be with us as we talk together And we pray that a chorus of this union would move from hearthstone to hearthstone and heart to heart. Bless this food to our body and the conversation to our soul. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. At this point, I would like to introduce from the Joint Forces Training Base, Colonel Julian Bond to the podium.
The treasures of the United States of America that make this great nation work. All right, testing. Okay, here we go. All right, I get to save my voice after all. But on behalf of Joint Forces Training Base, the over 40 tenants that train here, work here, and support both local, state, and federal activities, and the over 8,000 drilling reservists, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to your community-based organization, the installation that supports folks from youth to seniors here at Joint Force Training Base. And we just want to give a heartfelt welcome. Each and every one of you means a lot to us. It gives us inspired service to do what we do on a day-to-day basis. So Mayor Edgar, the City Council, and all these wonderful people, thank you. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm honored.
Thank you, Colonel Bond, and I want to greatly let you know how our appreciation for the partnership that we have with the Joint Forces Training Base and letting us use this beautiful facility today. I would like to now introduce the dignitaries that are here able to join us today, starting with the Los Alamitos City Council, Mayor Troy Edgar, Mayor Pro Tem Warren Kusamoto, Councilmember Mark Churko, Councilmember Shelley Hasselbrink, Councilmember Richard Murphy. Now I am going to go through a list of other dignitaries that are here today, so if you can please hold your applause until the end. We are starting with elected officials representing Congressman Alan Lowenthal's office, Robin McCrae and Mark Polito. Representing State Senator Janet Wynn's office, Miles Bruner. Representing Orange County Supervisor Todd Spitzer's office, Al Tello. Representing Supervisor Michelle Steele's office, Tim Whitaker. From the Joint Forces Military Base, Colonel Julian Bond, the commander of the Joint Forces Training Base. Colonel, California State Military Reserve, Rick Lawler. He's Public Affairs Officer for the California National Guard. Mr. Frederick Holmes, Command Executive Officer of the 79th Sustainment Command. From the school board, board members Meg Catulli, David Boyer, Diana Hill, and Superintendent Sherry Kropp. From the Orange County Fire Authority, OCFA Division Chief Robert Acosta. And from our surrounding cities, we have from the city of Cypress, Mayor John Pete, Mayor Pro Tem Stacey Berry, Councilmember Rob Johnson, City Manager Peter Grant. From the city of La Palma, Mayor Pro Tem Marshall Goodman, Councilmember Kathy Flackmeyer. From the city of Seal Beach, Councilmember Shelley Sestarsik and City Manager Jill Ingram. From the city of Garden Grove, City Manager Scott Stiles. From the city of Stanton, Mayor David Shaver, Councilmember Al Ethans, Councilmember Carol Warren, City Manager Jim Box. From the city of Westminster, Councilmember Sergio Contreras, City Manager Eddie Manfro. From the West Cities Communications Center, Director Cassandra Bowden. From Golden State Water, Director Ken Vicarelli. If we can give a round of applause for all the dignitaries that have joined us today. And with that, I think we are still on time. Chelsea, are we on time? Are we scheduled? So everyone, lunch is now going to be served, and the servers will come up to your tables and begin to take you over to the buffet in the back. Thank you very much.
So my biggest passion is that we just remain relevant, we remain sustainable for the future generations.
So there's going to be a lot of changes in our society. Technology is really, taking hold, so it's going to be really exciting.
Have a few challenges coming up with the pension, but hopefully we'll be able to make some adjustments.
Probably the biggest thing is teamwork.
We're getting stuff done.
Everybody working together. And I think with this current council, every single person that's on there has a gift they're providing the community.
We're seeing these things getting done. The Boulevard Project, Coyote Creek, new playground equipment over at Orville Lewis, new businesses coming in. This is exciting. This is what's going to make people want to live here.
I love the city's small town feel. To live in this small city, in this small community, in the middle of this enormous metropolis.
The people are passionate. They really, really care. Like a simple thing like the light in front of the Highlands a couple of years ago, people were so tired of just waiting for no reason. And all of a sudden you were able to get that fixed and got a lot of compliments. People saying, hey, thank you.
We have wonderful people, a wonderful sense of community here, wonderful businesses, great city events and city staff.
The people in this city are just unbelievable, giving of their time, their money. The examples are just endless.
Canal Lumber not only just for being the hardware store that everybody goes to, but I'm always surprised how active they were in the community.
Just in the one shopping center, you have Judy Clabeau, you have Nisi, and you have Joe at the brew house. All of them give to the city. Joe closed down on a Wednesday night for the POA to have dinner there.
Say like Nisi Stewart at Printmaster would be a great example. Somebody that her and her husband Carl came into the community, had a good idea, and they were hard workers. And next thing you know is she's out, being on a charity board and leading an organization. I have a lot of respect for those types of business owners.
The charities, and the boards of the charities, the people who actually volunteer at the charities.
Los Alamitos has the most nonprofits per capita in Orange County. And we have volunteers that hold babies, work in thrift shops, and do whatever it takes to support that nonprofit and their mission. National Charity League, some of those is that it's an organization a lot of people have heard of, and every event you go to, they're out there working super hard and contributing to the community. Between We Care and Precious Life and CASA and the Youth Center, and Summer Harvest. There's hundreds and hundreds of volunteers in our city. They're not doing it for the accolades. They're certainly not doing it for a paycheck. They're doing it because it's just the right thing to do.
The amount of volunteerism really, I think, is what sets the city apart.
When I was sworn in back in 2014, I told everybody my biggest focus was to make sure that my future grandchildren live here. And so we need to make decisions now that's going to affect future generations, and I think we do a great job of that.
I have young children, and my goal while on City Council is to do what I can to preserve the city so that hopefully one day they'll grow up and they'll want to raise their own children here in this city.
What we're doing now as a body, my colleagues and I, we are looking, besides solving some really near-term problems, but setting a foundation for future councils to go and really serve our citizens and our businesses as best we can with the limited resources that we have.
I did promise the voters I'd spend their money like it was mine, and I think so far we're balancing the budget and doing a good job like that.
If we can make sure that our city stays relevant, that we stay updated, and we can attract younger families, that's just all great to have these multi-generations here in the city.
I would like to be able to say that I've done what I can to preserve the city and made decisions that preserve the character of this community.
This is a great place to live and work and go to school and play and learn and serve and whatever you want to do, but it's because of the combined efforts of all of these agencies that just make it great around here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to start by thanking you. Our theme this year that we're talking about is the best of Los Alamitos, and we have to say that we truly are the best city. I've been proud to serve on the City Council for 12 years, and I just want to thank the City Council and the city staff and everybody in the community that's been so supportive over that time period. It's been a tremendous year, and there's a lot ahead, obviously, coming up. I want to take a moment, just one more time. This event today is really for us to do just a reflection of really a lot of great work that's happened by the previous council, and talk a little bit about what's going on in the future. And I just want to acknowledge what a great job previous year our Mayor Shelley Hasselbrink. So I'd like to have her stand up and acknowledge Shelley Hasselbrink. Next, I want to acknowledge what I think is a true American hero, and has become one of somebody that I absolutely love working with on the council. And this is Mayor Pro Tem Kusamoto. Could you please stand up? Now, Councilmember Rich Murphy, if you wouldn't mind standing up. Councilmember Rich Murphy was a little bit of an indication of how this council operates. Is for the first time in the history that I'd been on, he got married in August, and all 5 council members and the city manager went with him on a location to not be disclosed here. But it was an unbelievable time, and Rich, through leadership and throwing a great party, thank you. And then lastly, I would like to acknowledge and have Mark Churko, our council member, stand up. Mark is our new addition to the city council, and a very sharp guy. He came to us, he was general counsel at Hyundai. This is a guy that is dealing with huge things at Fortune 500 companies. He lends a breath of fresh air to our city council. We are just so happy to have him on. We appointed him, and I think our city couldn't do a better job with him, so I want to acknowledge Mark Churko. We're not only passionate about what happens in the city of Los Alamitos, but we also care about some of the activities that we're directly involved with. And each of us volunteer our time outside of the work of doing the city's business. We also are on boards and commissions throughout the county and within the city. I talk a little bit about Mayor Pro Tem Kusamoto. He's currently on the West City's communication board, we call Westcom. And, for everybody in here, most of us know, but that's the 911 dispatch for emergency services. And I know that they're in here somewhere. But this is a group of people, professionals, that really, they're there when you have a 911 call, no matter what is happening. And we have a board member. The City of Cypress has a board member, the City of Seal Beach, and we, as a partner in that group. And I just, again, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you. Councilmember Churko, when it comes to board assignments, it's sort of a little bit like hazing. We have a couple different board assignments that you get when you first come on, and none of us were immune to it. And I know I see the other city council members, and I'm sure they could relate with this. So first we put them on the budget standing committee. It's because we want them to go through 3 times more budget standing committee meetings than anybody else on the council, so that when he gets asked questions and he has really good ideas, they can ground into what reality is. And then I think we got him a little too close this time, but we'll see. And then we have him on the Orange County Library Advisory Board. So they always say you won't do a ton of damage on the library board. I personally loved that assignment. And in the very first 3 years, if you remember, when I was on the council, I spent a lot of time on that board, and I loved it. Lastly, the Orange County Vector Control. Again, Mayor Pro Tem Kusamoto, you're on that vector control. You're assigned for 2 to 4 years at a time. And Mayor Pro Tem actually resigned his seat so that we can get some experience into Councilmember Churko and be a part of that. And again, just again showing leadership there. And then we've got Councilmember Hasselbrink. We talk about the city making tremendous amounts of leadership within the county. I'm very proud of Councilmember Hasselbrink. She's been on the Orange County Fire Authority. She worked her way up. It's a huge board. It has a lot of city council members, mayors, and county supervisors. She's worked her way up to the finance committee, and then within the finance committee, she's the vice chair of the finance committee, and she just was responsible for hiring their, not by herself, but helped lead the process to go through and hire the new fire chief, Brian Fennessy, who starts in mid-April. So again, thank you very much, Shelley. We really appreciate it. And then lastly, Councilmember Murphy. Like I said, he did his tour, I'm sure, in the library board, but the thing that Councilmember Murphy's been really focused on for our community is two big things. The Orange County Sanitation District, which basically handles all the waste water treatment for the entire county, but he also is on Orange County Transportation Authority. So you see all of those projects going up, the 605, the 405 widening, sales tax that we've been able to pass years ago. He actually helps make decisions and bring money to all the cities of North Orange County, but definitely I'm hoping he's focused on us too. But he's done a great job. And you know, when you take on jobs in those boards, those almost become full-time jobs, 2 to 3 meetings a week in different locations. So again, Rich, thank you so much for your time. And then I guess lastly for myself, you know, I've just been blessed for the 12 years and being on here to do a lot of different board committee assignments. Really at the end, I think I'm focused on the California Cities Selection Committee, and then I just stepped off of the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Something that's been really important to me, and when I did get off that committee, the city had spent a lot of time on the Coyote Creek project. And so we wanted to take a little bit of time to show the community kind of a summary of the Orange County partnerships that we had to create of a project that took about 12 years. So I just ask you to enjoy this video just a minute. This is about the Coyote Creek Park. Thank you. One of the things that I think that our city council is most proud of is something that we've done together for probably about the last 12 years, which is to work on Coyote Creek Park and this bikeway that goes to Seal Beach. One of the big objectives that we've had within the city is to improve our quality of life, to provide a park to our citizens that they could go walk along the riverbed, and then if you were a biker or a runner, take the bike path and go as far as you can down towards the beach. And a lot of people fit this into their normal routine every day, and it really improves the quality of the city of Los Alamitos. This project took so long because it was basically something that we had to go and get grant funding approved from the state of California. So what we needed to do is, when you're a city this small, you really have to go and make sure that you have partnerships at all the different regional boards. And we were able to utilize our relationship with the city of Long Beach, some of the cities along the South Los Angeles corridor, all the way up to Rosemead, Downey, Bellflower, all of these cities that we've been able to do a lot of projects with and gain support. This project has a lot of different partnerships. So the Los Alamitos Unified School District will allow us to increase the traffic behind Oak Middle School. The Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, we had to work with Southern California Edison, LA County Flood Control, and a lot of that hard, heavy lifting had to be done with city staff and the Planning Commission as they were able to move barriers out of the way. We took a look to make sure that they understood that this wasn't just vacant land that somebody tried to do nice. We added a lot of signs that added a little bit of history so that if kids or their families were walking through this park and learned something about our city. This area was 50, 60 years ago, was basically floodlands. Now it's concreted in, not as beautiful probably as it was back in the day, but really what we wanted to do is just add a little bit to the city, not only the quality of life where people could come here, but kind of take things back a little bit to the way they were. When we designed this path, the hardest part about it was owned by Southern California Edison, so we couldn't put in hard infrastructure. We couldn't put in permanent trees. We had to allow trucks for utility pole maintenance to be able to go through here. So we had to make a most functional park without destroying the purpose that this land is actually to maintain the power poles. But if you look at the types of plants put in here, you'll just see that we were able to really use stuff that doesn't use a lot of water. During the winter it stays pretty, it doesn't go super dormant, and then during the summer when you would have to worry a lot about trying to maintain this, we wanted to make sure that the cost of the city would be something that we wouldn't have to hire new staff to maintain. When we put together the plan for all of the types of trees, plants, and shrubs, one of the requirements were that we needed to make sure that they were all native to California. So environment that definitely feels natural and makes you feel like you're back 100 years ago in California. This park is actually part of a connection across all of Orange County about the continuous loop that the Board of Supervisors in Orange County have been trying to put together for quite a while. So we've been working with Mission County supervisors to really kind of make this connection to make sure that we can have that complete loop. And there's still a lot of big holes in this, but this was a pretty important one. I think for me, this park has been something that was neutral ground. It was something that we all as the council could agree on. I mean, I'll be honest, one of the biggest supporters of this was Ken Parker. And where we didn't agree on a lot of things, we agreed that we should do something here. And he was a champion for this thing early on. And I think this park kind of acted as a way for us to find a way to work together. To do something that I know that over time we would be able to kind of look back, and when I'm long off the council, sitting back watching other great city council members, I could point at something and say, hey, I was a part of that. Alrighty, what I wanted to talk a little bit about now is I want to talk a little bit about our police department, to give a little bit of a state of the city of our police department. And I would just ask, can I ask the chief and anybody from our police department to please stand and be recognized? Chief Nunez. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. So we do have the best police department, and they're committed to providing the highest degree of professional police service and partnership with the community. And a big push that's been with our chief is all about community partnering. And I think he embodies that, and all of our men and women within the uniform are definitely out there engaging themselves in the community. If you look here, you'll see that there's a graph that talks a little bit about our crime. Just want to make sure I can see it. Okay, so yeah, part one crime. So within the city, you'll see stats. There's a lot of data here, and people that know me know I love data. But as a picture, the thing that I love is you can just see the downward trend, right? You can see that the part one crimes, which are violent crimes committed in the city, have come down considerably. And also, if you see down in the bottom, the number of incidents. So it definitely is something that we're very proud of, and it's been a 10% reduction in part one crimes since 2017. Within traffic, when we go through, our police are finally starting to reach their authorized strength in mid-year, and with training enhancements being implemented, we've been able to do much better at traffic enforcement. We've increased our enforcement by 10%. At the same time, we've decreased traffic collisions by about 25%. Another project, Mayor Pro Tem Kusumoto talked in the video about technology and really trying to do what we needed to do. We have a project out there called CAD RMS, and this past year, the police department implemented a new computer-aided dispatch and record management system, or CAD RMS. This project had been in the making for 5 years under the operational umbrella of Westcom. And it's basically a joint powers authority project, and we've been doing it again with our partners, Cypress and Seal Beach. And again, I'm going to keep mentioning Cypress and Seal Beach as our partners, but can I again have the council members and staff of Cypress and Seal Beach and retired council member Leroy Mills please stand up? I'd just like to recognize them. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then lastly, the community outreach that we have. We also, the chief, I keep saying the chief, but that's my only interaction. I'm sure these ideas are coming somewhere down deeper, so I'm maybe overplugging him a bit. But they put together a community program that basically went to all of the precincts. They divide the city up into 4 or 5 regions, and then they would basically have an outreach in that area so the community could come and meet with police officers, talk to them, basically establish that relationship. And then we've assigned specific police officers to be responsible for certain areas. So even though they might be on a beat and doing a lot of different stuff, or their supervisors, the chief could kind of go, hey, what's going on in Greenbrook? And so it helps us kind of keep a contiguous relationship of kind of what's going on. And if you combine that with the technology aspect, really that's kind of what we're talking about when we talk about community policing. One of the items that's really near and dear to us, and I would say again, a great partnership has to be with what we call our school resource officer. So what I'd like to do, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge our school resource officer, and I'd also like to acknowledge our school board. So if I can ask our school board and our superintendent and Justin Kim and the police department over there, if she can stand up. Justin Kim is our SRO. Yeah. Thank you. So what we've been really feeling was super important for the school was that we wanted a continuous service. So within our department, we have one person that basically gets assigned there for a period of time, not just to be a face or a uniform out in front of the school, but to be somebody that actually establishes a relationship with the kids. They establish a relationship with the superintendent, with the principal, and so it's more than a show of force. And my message to the community as the mayor is that we take this very seriously. What's been going on in the schools. I'm going to have to say that the leadership that we see at our school board is unbelievable. They have done the right thing. I was at a dinner the other night for LAIF, and I was privileged to be able to sit at the table with some of the school board members and the superintendent. And, I asked the superintendent kind of in private because I didn't want to have a Brown Act for the school board. And I said, hey, how are you guys going to handle this walkout thing? And she goes, we're going to encourage it. It's a teaching moment. Like, really? She goes, yeah, we're going to it's almost on a schedule, and when they walk out, they can learn something about it, and then we'll make sure we'll talk about it, and it gives them an opportunity to exercise, the opportunity to learn through the process of activism, and I think that was beautiful. So hats off to you guys. Congratulations. This last slide that we have is about a lot of our partnerships. I've talked about the school district, our legislators, the Joint Force Training Base, Westcom, Chamber of Commerce, Rossmore Community Services District, Rossmore Los Alamitos Sewer District, and the surrounding areas. When you look at a lot of these events that go on, and I kind of go through those names kind of fast, one of the areas that kind of doesn't get enough attention, I think, is the Rossmore Community Services District. And I've seen a couple of those folks in here. Can I just have you raise your hand? Oh, there we go. So, So the Rossmore Community Services District, definitely has been a real partner with big events that we've had, like the 4th of July. A lot of us dealt with their general manager, which is Jim Ruth. He was over at the Orange County Sanitation District, and they've just got great leadership over there. And I know early on when I was on the council, we had some crazy ideas with what we were wanting to do about Rossmore, but I think over time we've all kind of mellowed out and figured out how can we work together, and I think we've had a really good partnership. So I want to thank Rossmore Community Services District. Lastly, the Orange County Fire Authority. And so with the Orange County Fire Authority, is Chief Acosta in here? Okay. Hi, Chief. Yeah, so with the Orange County Fire Authority, another great partnership. Everybody knows we've got our one fire station in city, Fire Station 2. It's one of the oldest in Orange County. And Seal Beach always makes me jealous because they have the most beautiful one right next to us. And I'm going to have to talk to Shelley about that. But anyway, pretty significant change in fire authority and really it affects our local residents as it pertains to the staffing within the fire department. They made a pretty big move this last year, and in March they basically operational deployment changed, and they took the engine 2 and they staffed up from a 3-person engine to a 4-person paramedic. And you say, Troy, why is that a big deal? Well, if you think about it, every time that you get calls and it has something to do with medical, some sort of issue, not a fire or a structural, they would have to send the fire truck and a paramedic truck. And so by outfitting this, you get a 2-for-1 with additional staff, and then the super smart people at the Fire Authority did the math, which I did look at, and it absolutely pins out. So I would just say, Chief, to you and Shelley, thank you so much for what you're doing for cost-effective fire protection for our community. Thank you. Okay, so then the customer service part of this. Within our city, we have an unbelievable tag of folks that are in our Parks and Recreation Department. So what I'd like to do is Emlyn and Ram Noda are leading our Parks and Rec Department. I would like to have them just stand up and be recognized. Yeah. You notice they're married but not sitting together, so that's kind of interesting. Betty is right next to me over here. Talk about unbelievable events that they put on within our city. If you look up here, we have the race on the base on the 4th of July. And again, Colonel Bond, I know he was out there too. Unbelievable partnership. We have been able to really try to figure out a new relationship with the base. A lot of people in the community, we had the pool here and we had to kind of get out of the pool. If you look at that, at first it's a reaction, right? We start feeling like we own it, but we don't. 20 years ago we put a lot of money in that pool and we were maintaining it. And then, as the military, just like every organization matures, we need to start thinking about risk. We need to start thinking about actual funding. What are we going to do on the military base? And then being an ex-Navy guy, we also got to think about prioritization of funds. And so what we had is for a couple years, while we were trying to find our way through it, we were kind of saddled up with new contractual relationship that we needed to define. And, everything in Los Alamitos is a high five and handshake, right? So it was easy to kind of get stuff done. And even the predecessor to Colonel Bond, they start walking in and it's like, no, hey, look, your handshake isn't really good enough right now. We need to make sure that the U.S. government doesn't have unlimited liability. It makes sense. So I would say last year and the year before, we really kind of were biting our fingernails at the very end, trying to get contracts in place so we can hold these big events like the 4th of July and the race on the base. And I would just say with the race on the base and the 4th of July, if you think about how many people and how many businesses, today, I'm privileged to talk to the business community, and thank you guys all. We're going to recognize you guys and the sponsors coming up here, but really this event, these two events at the base, makes us look like a huge city because it's all of the volunteers and it's all of you companies that are doing business in our community and giving back. So I just really want to thank you. We also have the Winter Wonderland and music and movies, trunk or treat, spring carnival, and then just this last weekend we had what was called the Weekend of the Arts. And the Weekend of the Arts is something. If you're on the city council, you go and you have Parks and Recreation Commission, and you put the word out on the street, and we're always looking for people to be on it. And we used to have 5 people on all of our commissions then, and we would interview people, and it was heartbreaking to tell people that wanted to volunteer time, no, sorry, we don't have enough room for you. So I think it was Councilmember Murphy, and might even been previous mayor Jerry Mejia, said, look, why don't we have 7 people? Why would we turn away volunteers? And as a practical matter, it's like there's only 5 seats at the dais. But that didn't go that far. So we definitely ended up getting 7 people on most of the commissions. We usually try to get everybody, but I tell that story because we cast a wide net. And what ended up happening is we ended up getting a guy named Michael Bell, who was an artist and a curator back on the East Coast, and a very unique man, a man of a few words, but when they're spoken, it's unbelievable. He started saying, I think we need an art festival. And everybody's like, what? And then he started giving examples. The next thing you know, we had a huge art festival in our city. And then we just celebrated our 3rd year. And it's just, it's really nice to see these things grow. It's the 3rd year of that art festival. We had over 300 pieces of art. We had the school district superintendent Sherry Kropp. She got in there, started doing her magic that she does. She's more connected than council members. I see her emails out there, and people next door are going, it looks like the superintendent needs art. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, for your event. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's definitely the outreach program. When you partner, you get a lot more participation. Also with the Parks and Recreation Department, they offer over 150 contract classes, and definitely have a lot of activity going on there. Lastly here, I'd like to acknowledge, if I could, and ask for them to stand. Anybody here that's from our Public Works crew that assists in the community? Is anybody in the room for the Public Works crew? Yeah, Stephen, hi. Of course. So within community service and public works, there's a lot of things that they do that are tactical, kind of keeping the lights on. It's like if you have a really nice house, nobody comes over and goes, man, this thing always looks so perfect. Versus you go to the nice house and they're like, oh, how do you get that chandelier up there or something? And I would just say it's sometimes a thankless job, but things that they do is the field maintenance, the alley cleanup, sidewalk repair, storm drain maintenance, center median work, trees falling, filling potholes, all of that. I think they do it all. And so, Stephen, for you and your department, I just we just can't thank you enough and really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. So the commissioners, I talked about the commissioners within the city and kind of what they do. The commissioners volunteer their time. They do the heavy lifting for the council. Right now we have 4 commissions. We have a traffic, planning, recreation, cultural arts, and personnel. And if you take that, in total we have 26 commissioners. Then you look at 36 meetings a year, and when you look at 36 meetings a year, about average 2 hours of meetings, you can see a tremendous amount of community service that's provided to the city for free. And again, it kind of goes back to the good idea Councilmember Murphy had, which is why wouldn't you have 7 members on your commissions? It's a tremendous amount of effort. And I don't know, are there any commissioners in the room? If there are, can I ask you to please stand? Thank you. Thank you. So that commissioner is sitting really far from his wife, Diana Hill. So school board member, yeah, so that's interesting too. Okay, so then businesses. So we know that we have the best businesses, and they remain a terrific place for our business, large and small. There's the new businesses continue to join our already thriving business community. And I am going to show a video here, but I want to kind of break this up a little bit because we kind of skipped over something in the beginning. And I'm going to ask the city manager to come up here really quickly. And I just wanted to introduce our sponsors and make sure that we give them appropriate amount of props for all that they've done to be a part of this event here. And while he's trying to find his place, just one more ad lib I'm going to do is here's a message to the business community. I understand all the stuff that's going on right now, and I just want to assure you that the city council is open for business for you, and we just want to be sensitive to what we might be putting you through. We apologize, and we just appreciate your continued support. And with that, I'm going to hand over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Edgar. And can you put the slide up with the businesses? Okay. We have business awards that we have throughout the community, and we wanted to recognize a couple of today that have. You want to introduce sponsors right now? Oh, okay. And you want me to do sponsors? Yeah. Okay. We're going to go through and do the sponsors today. We want to recognize the businesses that have supported us, and I will go through the list, and if you can hold your applause until the end of that, I'm going to name the sponsors for today's event. Los Alamitos Medical Center, Kent Clayton. Republic Services, Manuel Govia. Southland Credit Union, Matt Herrick. Woodruff, Spradlin, and Smart, Michael Doubt. Columbia College, Carl David. Cottonwood Church, Stephanie Jensen. From the gas company, Lene Hernandez. From Golden State Water District, Ken Veccarelli. From the Los Alamitos Unified School District, the Board of Directors and Superintendent Sherry Kropp. From Pacific Premier Bank, Dan Schwartz. From Precious Life Shelter, Teresa Murphy. From Sir Speedy Printing, we have Alan McLean and his son. We have Forest Lawn Flower Shop for all of the centerpieces, and if we can give a round of applause to all of those sponsors. I also wanted to mention and thank Councilwoman Sandra Massalafit from the City of Seal Beach. Didn't mention you earlier, so I wanted to point out, thank you for being here. With that, I will hand it back to Mayor Troy Edgar.
Sorry about the impromptu. As we're starting, we we passed on that at the beginning. I just think it's really important. Just want to absorb those names and those businesses. You know, it was kind of a fast run through of who did what. But you know what? I've been doing this for a lot of years, and you know, I think what's important, and all the other city council members that are in here, you just can't get numb to when you hear those business names. Those are the businesses that make events like this happen. They make every event, and it's, you know, a lot of times it's the same businesses, and they really, you know, they're really putting their money where their mouth is. They say they support Los Alamitos, and they're here. So again, I just want to give them one more round of applause. Thank you. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we put together a video to highlight our business community. So I'm just going to ask if we can show that now. Thank you.
We've been here in LaSalle since 1965. We've been here in this location since 1979. That's when I joined my father.
My mom and I started in 1977 on Green Street, like I say, in the original LaSalle post office. My mom lasted there about 2 months. Real estate was always her thing, and she didn't like dealing with the public as much as I did. So
My husband Carl and I own Print Masters in Los Alamitos. On December 7th, we will be celebrating 10 years in business here.
Still a small town community feeling in a big city.
But yet we're very forward thinking in some of the things that this community does.
The forward thinking progression of keeping it small but building it correctly.
Not only has a prominent school system, but a great law enforcement that we work very closely with.
It's small enough, it's still a family and a home, and they love children. It's the greatest place to be a kid.
You run to the store, you run into a friend, you go to shopping at the hardware store, you run into people you know and colleagues, and that's probably the warmest feeling you can get, to really know your community.
Community events are great. They support not only the local people here as well as the local businesses.
The community really supports all the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines at Joint Forces Training Base.
You look at all those different things, it's a well-rounded community.
Food-wise, some of the greatest places to eat around here are Mustards. They have some of the best hot dogs.
Kampai, because my kids love sushi.
I like Shenandoah's. I like Brew Kitchen Ale House.
And then Catella Deli has some of the best sandwiches that you could possibly ever ask for.
We love the Coconut Rabbit right over here in LaSalle. That's wonderful food.
Of course, well, I started Griffin's Grill, so I gotta love Griffin's Grill. And
our own Filler's Green, the pub, right here at Joint Forces Training Base.
Oh gosh, all kinds. There's so many.
We host the Race on the Base, the 4th of July fireworks spectacular here with the use of the baseball field as well as our Olympic-sized swimming pool. We are true teammates, true partners.
we love the new improvement that the city's just done on the boulevard. I mean, it's so great. I don't have to stress over people making a left-hand turn coming out after shopping at the store. It's going to be beautiful when the trees start blooming and the lights and creating a downtown.
You know, there was a lot of apprehension, but I think that as it developed, to me it looks fantastic. You know, it really is going to generate kind of like a little downtown feel in my section.
There is something else I really love about Los Alamitos, and that's the number of graduates that come back to raise their families here, to get a job here, to work here. And so I love that. I think it speaks volumes when people want to come back and make their life in this town.
You know, Southland has actually had a great partnership with the city of Los Alamitos. Over 13% of the residents bank here, and in the credit union industry, that's a huge percentage.
The city's been great in terms of just being a wonderful partner to collaborate and work with us on our plans to further expand and advance the technology of our medical center.
The city's been helpful to us by providing advertising for us. It's all by word of mouth most of the time. It's very good marketing for us.
Whether it was even going back and doing the 50th anniversary parade, the race on the base, the State of the City event where we're a sponsor, Wings, Wheels, and Rotors. We're proud to have our corporate office here in Los Alamitos.
You couldn't be in a better city anyplace, and hopefully I'll be here. This is my 41st year. I'm looking forward to my 50th year. There's no place I'd rather be than at Green Street and with the people in this community.
Yeah, and I want to know, is Larry Strother out there? Larry, we want to thank you for the videos. Thank you so much. Yeah, you'll see Larry out a lot of times with his crew and filming all the events in the city, to the great Los Al High School sports program. But I would also say, there's these things cost a lot of money. We have limited funds, and so I know in the future, basically Larry helps us do this. He's going to put together ways that businesses could kind of possibly help and adopt pieces of the equipment. And I just want to thank you, Larry, for everything that you do. The last item that I have here for the businesses was that we had an opportunity for people to submit for a business award, and then we went through kind of a recognition evaluation. And today I want to recognize two businesses through our recognition awards, and I just want to recognize them really quick. If I can ask the Chamberlain Group and Alla Waffle to please rise. Thank you. I see Alla Waffle. Thank you. Yeah, and then lastly, the business component of this that I'm really excited about. If everybody has looked at the Proveso there on Los Al Boulevard, we got a new business in town, Wahoo's. So I just want to thank Stephen and the whole crew and everybody that's working with Wahoo. They'll be coming in, and we're really trying to now. We've made all the investment in the downtown boulevard, and we're hoping now that we'll start getting some of the businesses in there. Okay, so let me talk just a second about the financials for the city. Again, I am not going to go hardcore here, so I promise we're going to make this really quick. Directionally, what this shows is that we've got a big problem with pensions, and if all you need to see from this is that we've got this line that's going up to $3 million. And if you keep $3 million in your mind and you think about what we have in reserve, we got a little near 7, you'll see on the next page. And we are having structural pension increases. This is basically because of all the years of investments needed to be caught up. So the state has mandated a mechanism or a formula, and it's basically asking the cities that haven't planned for this, you need to start funding your pensions at a certain level. So this thing is driving pension costs up almost $1 million a year for our little city. And if you see when it gets to $3 million, if you double that, that's about what it is for us for all staffing in the city. So for every person that we have on staff, we're paying for one person retired. Think about that. That's pretty significant. And nothing against the current staff. This is something we own together. And as policy people, we're going to do our best. But, if you think about it in the worst case scenario, $3 million a year, and we only have $7 million in reserves to fund this overage. A city like ours, if we don't do something now in the next 3 to 5 years, we potentially could be bankrupt in 2.5 years when we get to that point. I only say this because long after I'm sitting at home watching really cool council meetings, when I'm on the couch in 9 months, the next council is going to have to worry about really doing some courageous stuff, And I say courageous. I'm not saying it's the right thing, but they've got to look at every option. They got to look at decreasing services, or they got to look at the other extreme, increasing sales tax. No one wants it. No one supports it. But we need to start engaging the community. And I think we're going to take a play out of the playbook that the police department did over the last year. We're going to set up a community communication, a workshop, and actually start showing the community this problem, and then we're going to show them some options, and we're going to set up some surveying and get us out in the community and meeting with everybody to talk about this, so that whatever the commission or the city, the council does years down the road, we'll have a well-documented history of engaging the community to get to the answer together, so that we don't have, I don't want to be in a city where we all of a sudden have to do a sales tax increase and everybody's like, well, I never saw that coming. Everybody, you see it coming, right? It's coming. So the other item up here that I'd go through is I'm very proud. This has been something, again, that's taken a tremendous amount of time. This is our bond rating. We're a AAA bond rated city, and we also have been honored with the Certificate of Achievement. We had not gotten that award for 6 or 7 years. And you think about it and you go, well, great, big deal. But if you look at stuff that we've been able to do, like the beautification project, we had to go get funding, we had to get matching funds, then we had to go and try to manage our budget good for many years, which you'll see here. You see the green line? That's how much revenue we have, and the expense line is below it. As you can see, and I'm very proud of this as being on the council, we've had over 8 years of a balanced budget. That's incredible, and I want to say to the city council, good job and congratulations. And again, there was the bottom bar there is, again, what our reserve is, and that's going to be our hope we can pay for the pension fund, and that's the one that we're going to have to focus on with the community. Okay, so let's see, the next area here I think is the hotel. So with the economic development within the city, we've got a hotel coming on in Los Al Boulevard called the Fairfield Inn. They're supposed to be breaking ground here in the next month or two. And the city council, the ad hoc committee, I'm going to call it Mark Turco on this one, said that they think that revenue is going to actually start coming in by next April. So we're actually forecasting, we're so confident this is going to happen, Stephen, that we are going to put the revenue in the budget. So you're not owning it by yourself, Mark. I know Shelley and you'll own it together, but that is something that we'll talk about between now and June. And but we are excited, and I put in the joke about Mark and Shelley owning it to make a message to the community and the business community specifically is more people in beds, more spending in your businesses, hopefully. Next up is the Civic Center complex. A lot of stuff going on there. What we're trying to do with the Civic Center complex is we had a study done, and if you ever go on, it's all public record. They took pictures, did an evaluation, and it's pretty embarrassing the level that we've had to maintain that City Hall. It's an old building, it's quaint, it's beautiful, but our city staff has really not gotten good direction from the council on doing extreme makeover. We've always talked about, hey, so maybe someday at the base, maybe someday something else. We kind of got to get to the point where there's no more maybe. We got to do something, because at this point we have about $4 million in costs that we need to do. That just imagine if you're doing a remodel in your kitchen and you just wanted to make sure the sink worked. You didn't care about having the backsplash that looked like the subway tile, and you didn't have the gas stoves. You just needed the sink to work. That's the type of fixes that we have to do just to get the city hall to standards, or we need to do something creative. And so I think you'll see from the city council over the next year, you'll see a very constructive way of looking at what do we do next, and that'll be a part of the dialogue with you guys in the business community. We've talked about the beautification project, and just one last plug about the beautification project. This last week I've been talking to a lot of media people, and one of them said, hey, I didn't know, did you guys ever finish that downtown project? It was like media people that might have been with us maybe at the 2009-10 period. And I said, yeah, we did. And they said, well, where was that? And I said, on Los Al Boulevard. And they're like, oh, I didn't really pay attention. And so a lot of people, when they look at the downtown, we heard Judy Clough in the video say, hey, it's beautiful. Her business is there. She sees it. But I want to set an expectation to the community. To do what we did, we looked at a project that was $12 million. Basically, we spent $3 million. The next project that has to build on top of this is when we go to Tim Whitaker at Michelle Steele's office and we say, Tim, Michelle needs to give us some money, work with Rich on OCTA, help us get money for a walkway into Rossmore so we can get the foot traffic in. Then we need to go back and potentially go to Tim one more time and say, hey, look, can we get some matching funds to actually blow the sidewalks out and do something to make the sidewalks beautiful? The infrastructure. And remember, the city, we don't make the buildings beautiful. All we do is invest in the infrastructure to bring you guys in and have you guys hopefully help invest more money in your facilities to make them nice and to get people in here. So that project has been a tremendous project. The council's very proud of it. The lights that just got put on there, they're antique lights. You're going to see this thing restriped. There's a debate. I know Judy Clabeau, one of the biggest lobbyists for make sure we keep it 2 lanes. We're going to have that discussion coming up. It was supposed to happen Monday night. I apologize. But that's the last piece, because once that's done, then we resurface and restripe the boulevard, put in the crosswalk in front of the brew house, the Southland Credit Union, and you will visually see a new street there. And I think that'll be a part of it. But vision-wise, forgetting the pension problem and that Tim Whitaker is going to go back to Michelle Steele and get more money for us, I want to make sure that, if we could work together with the business community, we will be able to do even more on that boulevard and just look at it as a beautiful boulevard. We're so proud of it, but it's a work in process. And in 10 to 12 years, when Mark Shurko's in his last year, I want to make sure that we can look at this and go, man, at least it started when I was on there. Okay, the last thing here is the Catella office project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just roll the video on this so you guys can get an idea. And again, this was the project that we were doing, what was going to be the Whole Foods store, and then we had these really good community discussions about that, and then basically Whole Foods was bought by Amazon, and then now we've got the Catella offices. So here's the
So this project is Catella Office Campus. It's owned by Lincoln Property Company. We're proud to invest in the city of Los Alamitos and in Orange County. And it's a 2-building, 150,000 foot office campus that we're in the process of renovating to create a modern, efficient, effective workspace for a future tenant or tenants that come into Los Alamitos and create a bunch of jobs for the city. We're in the process of investing millions of dollars and open up the interiors of the space to make it a blank canvas so that everyone can visualize and customize the space to their needs. And then also focusing on creating an outdoor beautification package, which is a facade renovation, new paint, new exterior, significant upgrades to the landscaping, working on the site lighting and parking lot lighting, and creating those modern amenities and outdoor workspaces that tenants like. Lincoln Property Company is a 53-year-old commercial developer and investor. We've invested in all types of communities. We're big in Los Angeles. We own about 4.5 million feet of commercial product in Orange County, from the OC Airport area to smaller communities like Los Alamitos. For us, it's all about the project and the people and the potential job creation and the tenancy in the market, and that's what drives us there. There's a reason that people live in Los Alamitos. It's got that small community feel, located right in Orange County, and you've got the diverse access to people from Los Angeles County, Orange County, and Inland Empire and in between. The city's been fantastic to work with. The Planning Commission, the City Council has been extremely thoughtful and really has the best interest of the people of Los Alamitos in mind.
Okay, guys, we are on the home stretch here. So, mayor's reflection. It's interesting. So, being on the council for 12 years and being the mayor for 3 times, they give me the opportunity to just do a real quick reflection. So, believe me, I know we're at the end, so we're going to make it quick. You can also see on my reflection, it doesn't really reflect the recent week's events, but definitely, we've talked about the Coyote Creek. We've talked about, we didn't really talk about the medical center project, but with Kent Clayton and his predecessor, Michelle Finney, that was one of our first battles. This is where Mayor Pro Tem Kusamoto and I went mano a mano because, we really struggled with building codes, parking, eminent domain, or taking one of the streets over, and at those periods we really did. But I would say the Los Alamitos Medical Center through Tenet has shown complete leadership, and it's one of my proudest things. I look at that parking structure when I go through and I think, man, what a great council, what a great organization. And I keep very similar to Tim Whitaker with Ken. It's like, look, I seen the business plan for Tenet. They got another $200 million project coming still, right? And yeah, I think they do. I'm hoping. the CVS building, again, it's you look at it and you go, hey, that's not super beautiful, but that was not super beautiful for like 15 years. It was vacant or half filled, and that was one of my first times as the mayor when I realized that the commission was really playing hardball with the developer, and the developer really wanted to bring a decent project to the city. And I learned a lesson there as a reflection that sometimes as a city council member and the mayor at that year, we got to keep a good communication with our commissions because we ask them to do work on our behalf. And if we start disconnecting, we also can't make a public spectacle and make them feel embarrassed or that they're not doing the job that they've been volunteering to do. And so I would just say, again, the Planning Commission, that was a really good project. The last thing I'm going to talk about, can I ask everybody to look in front of you and pull up your Casa Youth Shelter certificate here? And can I just ask, just so that I know you guys are doing it, can I just have everybody just kind of hold it up so I can see? Okay. So myself and, Chief, could you join me up here just for a second? Chief Nunez and I are on the board of the Casa Youth Shelter, and this is their 40th year. And all the other nonprofits, I don't want you to be mad at me. I also do everything I can for all the other nonprofits too, but this is mine right now, so and this is my last year, so please indulge me. I've asked the Casa Youth Shelter to print these up, and Chief Nunez and I, we would like to invite you to the Casa Youth Shelter event that we have coming up here on April 14th at the Hyatt. It's our 40th anniversary. And if any of you knew Mildred back in the days who started this, and again, the Casa Youth Shelter focus is that what we're doing there is we are taking kids off the street that are basically out there, either throwaway kids or kids that just really are in a bad situation, and we're providing them a safe haven. And when we provide that safe haven, then we're focused on reunification, either reunifying them with their family, providing classes and training to the family and how to communicate, how to work together, and kind of on the other side of that, maybe having to find them a place in the social system. And I'm going to ask the chief if he would just say a couple words about CASA, because we're just huge supporters of this, and I'm kind of putting him on the spot too. Sorry about that.
Talk about impromptu. No, it's pretty easy to talk about them. And I'll tell you, what most people don't know, they think this is just, they have 12 beds there, okay? And they do some long-term, a few long-term placements, but most of it is very short-term stuff. And the reality is that they don't serve just, Los Alamitos. They serve really the whole Southern California region. And I have chiefs from surrounding agencies, all the way down to as close as, as far as probably San Diego, that tell me that when I tell them, where I work and I'll mention, they go, oh, that's where Casa Youth Shelter is, right? And so, that's how they know Los Alamitos. So, it has a great name out there. They do great work. And the staff and Amy Lakin, our new director, is phenomenal and brings a lot of energy. Amy. And her staff are phenomenal. So and being on that board, it's a large board, but the folks there are so dedicated to the kids and to the mission. And I just feel privileged to serve on that board.
Cool. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. All righty. So what I'd like to do is I'd also like to ask my wife to join me up here. This has been my soldier with me for the last 12 years, and this last week she's really earned her money. I just want to recognize my wife, Betty. So you guys had your Casa Youth Shelter certificate, and again, this what I'm about to say has nothing to do with city funds, but I have a personal invitation for you guys to join me and Betty and Chief and everybody at the Casa Youth Shelter for our 40th anniversary. We really need everybody out there to help us celebrate. We're really trying to raise our funds for our kids. Kenny Brandyberry, I called him to have him actually maybe stand in for Betty, and he's on some boat having Mai Tais in Hawaii, but he's like, Troy, why are you calling me? But I just want to again, this is my last time as being mayor and a city council, and Betty and I would like to invite 40 of you to be our guests at this. The only caveat is that if you come for free, we will pick up the tab for that, but I want you to bring somebody and pay. I just want you to bring somebody else. So if anybody could help the Casa Youth Shelter, this is a big year for Amy. It's a big year for Nisi, our board president. Nisi, thank you again. Please join us at Casa Youth Shelter. Join Betty and I to be there. We want to make sure that we really help out. The Casa Youth Shelter needs the community support. And with that, I just want to thank you for coming here. I'm going to turn it over to Brett. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Edgar, and if we can have one more big round of applause for the Mayor, Troy Edgar. So we are at the end. It's my duty to wrap this thing up, and so I want to thank everyone for attending today. Thank the Chamber for helping us put this on, and if we can have a round of applause for the Chamber and Chelsea Wilson who helped coordinate all of this. And as part of the what Chelsea has set up, you have cookies that are on your table, and there are two people that have stickers on the bottom of the cookie, and if you have that, you get the flower arrangement at the table. And that is the end. Thank you all for coming, and drive very safely on your way out.
Well,